Hi guys, welcome back to Heal Your Energy. My name is Kanini. If you're new to this channel, you're welcome to this channel. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how to be more attractive. We always talk about the law of attraction, becoming more attractive, but a lot of people know that they have to move their energy from these low level energies of guilt, shame, hatred, fear, jealousy into love, bliss, and peace and joy. When you do that, you obviously become way more attractive. But I think what's missing is that we never give people concrete examples of people who have been able to be magnetic and attractive. One of the most obvious people that has been very, very attractive throughout history, we know is Jesus, the Christ, because we know at one point fed a multitude of 5,000 men, and I think they just counted the men, they did not count the children and the women. So we know that he was followed by many people, and that's just one time event. I imagine that he probably had other times where he had a lot of people following him. He was magnetic. He even declared that he can teach you to become the fishers of men because he knew that he was magnetic and attractive. And one of the things that strikes me when every time you hear about Jesus is that he wasn't physically attractive, but he was attractive. We know for sure he was attractive, but they say that the Jesus that we now showcase with blonde hair and everything, that Jesus actually did not look like that, but Jesus was very attractive. A lot of people might be intimidated by, Jesus because he was very attractive and he is the Son of God. So a lot of people be like, can you match that? Can you match that? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you another example of a very attractive man, just a normal man living in America. He was known to be the most attractive man of his time, of his century. For that century, I'm not mistaken. I'm not saying a decade. The century, whether it was the president, the women, the people who were working in the labor unions, because he was a trade union organizer. People just were attracted to him. He had qualities, he had values that just made him magnetic. He was a people's magnet. However you slice this, there are qualities that we as people find magnetic. So the most magnetic man of the century, he was a black man. He was an African American. He was named A. Philip Randolph. He was born in 1899. I want you to get why having a good foundation, having solid parents, not just people who love you, but people who actually teach you the ways of life, who guide you into leadership as your parents, can really help. So he had both parents. His father was a pastor, but his father did not make a lot of money being a pastor, so he was also a tailor, and his mother was a seamstress. So the most striking thing about his early childhood, and this really helped him become the magnetic leader, the attractive qualities that he got, is that he got a great education from both his parents and also his teachers at school. One of the things that they taught him that really made him very attractive was moral ecology. This is something that we are not taught in school. We are not taught character development in school. It just doesn't happen. He was taught moral ecology. His parents were very specific about the things that he wanted him to learn. For example, he had perfect elocution. He could pronounce things like responsibility. The way he pronounced things, he learned Latin and he learned how to pronounce things. So his parents took care to mold him into a leader, and they taught him how to be a gentleman, to conduct himself in gentlemanly ways, civility, with humility, with decency. He was a very humble man, and very decent and very incorruptible. And I'm going to give you cases in his life where he was able to demonstrate the kind of character he was. He portrayed that consistently over time, and people really loved him and they found him attractive, and he could possibly ask people to do anything at one point and they'll just say yes. Again, we are reading from this book, The Road to Character by David Brooks. When you read good books, you will discover that you have wings. Good books are everything in life. I read that from Ben Carson. When I was little, I read a book, Think Big, from Ben Carson, and he said, if you can read books, you will discover you have wings. So again, this is a very, very good book for people, especially who did not have a good upbringing, gone through childhood trauma. It's a very good book to make you have the personality that will make you feel more integrated with the society. One time he got robbed, and the people robbing him didn't know he wasn't rich because he didn't come from a rich family. He was very poor. So they robbed him, and they robbed him $1.25. That's all he had, $1.25. And you know what goes around that he is poor. He was working as a trade union organizer, and people say, okay, he is poor. And then the people felt sorry for him, and they wanted to raise money for him and his family. Told them, no, don't raise money for me, you know. And I can imagine, because he had this deep, serene voice, you know, he told them, I am sure you know I don't have money, and at the same time, I don't expect to get any. He was like, I don't expect to get any. However, I would not think of having a movement started, raise money for me and my family. It is the lot of some people to be poor, and my lot is poor, and he did not have any remorse about it. So he had accepted that, hey, I come from a poor family, and my people, we are poor. That's it. Don't raise money for me, because some people are poor, and it's my lot is poor, so no big deal. That just shows incorruptible character to me. Like, that's just strength in character. Like, you can be proud of your life situation and your poverty, and nothing they can do about it. Like, that's it, you know. You see why people liked him. He was incorruptible, you know, like, pretty much, don't feel sorry for me and my poverty, I'm good. Like, that's so. And then another thing that people always liked him, you know, everybody likes somebody who is real like that. When you're real like that, like when you're just real and chill about your situation like that, people will respect you. People will adore you. People will love you. So another thing that I find that people found him very, very magnetic is that he was polite. He was polite. The people, his staff, the people he worked for, were always marveled at how polite he was. Philip Randolph was obviously very attractive man of his time. He was tall, he was young, he was dark, he was handsome, perfect elocution, he had great manners, great grace. Women threw themselves at him. They would beg. They say women tried everything but raping him. And they were also marveled at the gentle way he turned them down. He turned them down because he was married to this genteel woman from Boston. One of the staff that he used to work with him said he has never seen a man who ever lived that women begged and chased more than that man. And these were the most beautiful women. They were begging and chasing him. And some of his staff, they had a running joke. They would say that they were just around the chief so that they can handle the overflow of women who are just coming, chasing after the chief. He had that magnetic quality. He was polite. He knew that he was handsome, he was attractive. He knew that women would want to come to him, but he knew that he had to turn them down, and he turned them politely. He was very, very polite, but very disciplined, you know, and he knew the boundaries. You have to know boundaries. Every good leader knows boundaries, respects boundaries. Even the people you are leading, like these women, he was leading, he was a leader. They just didn't see anything wrong with probably pleading and doing all these things to get him. But as a leader, you know what's wrong and what's good and what's wrong. And he stayed away. He put the boundaries. Good leaders have boundaries. If you want to be magnetic, set boundaries, enforce them firmly, politely, but enforce them. Okay, let's go on. If you want to be magnetic, And another quality that we see here is that he was safe. He was safe to be around. You can trust him to be around women, and he will not do anything stupid, right? He wasn't aggressive with women. In fact, he turned them down because he knew as a leader it was going to compromise him, and it actually wasn't in his character. So you see that kind of politeness. He would say things like, I am sorry, I am tired, I had a hard day. We better call it a night. And he would go, and his staff would say, Chief, are you kidding me? That girl, you just let that one go. You know, like you can see the leader he was, setting a good example to his staff that, hey, just because somebody calls you to go have a cup of tea in their hotel, you don't have to go. You don't have to go. He was that great of a leader. And he set a great example to his team, to his staff. People were marveled. So if you want to be magnetic, know those boundaries, enforce them, be polite. People will come chasing you. I'm telling you, if you start doing this, people will start chasing you, because you don't want people to get to know you to that level. You don't want people to be that familiar with you. You know, if you want to be attractive, you can't go around with everybody. There's no mystery to you. There's no mystery. You cannot do it. So, okay. Philip Randolph, very attractive. Another thing that made him very attractive, and one union member actually said this about him. He said that he gripped you. You would have to be without feeling to pull yourself away from him. You felt him by the way his disciples felt by the master. You may not know it right then, but when you got home to yourself and you got thinking about what he said, you would just have to be a follower of him. That's all. If you want to know why this union member said this, is because Philip Randolph worked as a labor union organizer, and he traveled throughout the United States talking to people, asking them to join trade unions. When people join trade unions, they are able to have a better bargaining power against their employers. So it's good to form unions for employees, but you will always find that some employers want to threaten employees that if they join, they'll lose their job, they'll lose these things, and people become fearful. But actually, I think workers are better off joining a union if they can have a better bargaining power. And most of them were fearful because they didn't want to lose their jobs, but he was able to persuade them. He would talk to them, and then when they go home and they start thinking about what he said, they'll be like, yeah, he made a point. Only somebody who is very sincere, who wants the best interest for you, is able to convince you that when you go home and you think about what they said, and you decide, yeah, I'm gonna follow this guy, the man. He had that ability to attract people. It's the way he was able to communicate. Remember, he was taught how to communicate from a very young age, and this is what is missing with a lot of schools. And I would urge, especially Black families and Black parents, make sure that your kids are learning how to communicate, proper diction, elocution, so that they are able to become leaders of tomorrow. For me, the way we grew up, especially character development, was not even insisted on growing up. And it's so sad when you come from a background like mine, when you don't have parents or a grown-up actually correcting you throughout your life, like this, don't do this, don't do that, this is the way, this is the way, this is the way. When you don't have that, and then character development is not taught in school, you could go all the way from kindergarten to university and they will not teach you anything about character development. And if you don't have family members who are interested in character development, you might not live up to your whole potential. It's possible. It's very possible. So again, we can see here how sincere he was in his ways, in the way of talking to people, in his way of persuasion with people. And this, I think, comes from just having good morals. When you have good morals, you're able to convince people about about your agenda, about what you're planning to do. You're able to recruit more people into your vision, and you're able to recruit more people. If you have good morals, you're sincere, and people can actually respect you because they can sense. We have a nervous system. Everybody has a nervous system, and we can sense when people are phony. We can sense when people are honest. We can sense when people, tell us and give us information that we need. We can tell people who are fighting for us. We can tell people who, don't care. We really, really can tell. So always remember, people can read your energy. So if you're not sincere in your ways, people cannot trust you. And again, we also see another example of Randolph. And in this time, we see him it was 1940s, right? In 1940s, they had started making airplane parts in factories. Remember, there was a war going on, and now they're in America. There's still a Great Depression going on, and at that time they're making parts for airplanes and everything. And people didn't have jobs. People still did not have jobs. The economy was at its worst. It was during the Great Depression. What was striking is that they would not hire black people to work in those factories. There was still discrimination, even in times of war and poverty and a Great Depression. And white people are, like I told you the other video, white people were extremely poor, but they were still discriminating against black people to work in factories. He organized a march. He told the president, if you do not sign to make it illegal not to hire black folks in those factories, we are going to organize a march of people. And it was going to be hundreds of thousands of people. And, he comes, Roosevelt, the president, calls him and tells him, okay then, come, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this whole thing about you bringing folks over near the White House for such a huge, for them to march against, unfair working conditions for black people. Anyway, Roosevelt, starts by asking him, hey, did you go to Harvard? And he says, no, Mr. President, I did not go to Harvard. And the president is like, oh, you must have gone to Harvard. And this is where I find it funny, because Roosevelt and Philip Randolph, they probably had almost the same upbringing. Roosevelt's mother, Ida Roosevelt, she was an orphan. But she knew the Bible from the very beginning. She taught herself the Bible. She memorized over 1,000 Bible verses. So she got this character that she had, strong character that she had, and she taught her five sons, including Roosevelt, to be of strong character. But also Philip Randolph had very Christian parents who understood character, and they taught him. So this was not something that he got out of Harvard University. The kind of person he was, it wasn't because he came from Harvard. They don't teach character in Harvard. I don't think they do. I've never been to Harvard, but I don't think they do. This is taught at home, or if you're lucky that your parents are good role models, they'll teach you character. Randolph cuts Roosevelt off and he says, Mr. President, I know you're busy. My folks need jobs to be hired there, and you need to sign a declaration that make it illegal for them not to hire black folks and make it mandatory for them to hire black folks. And he was like, no, if I do that, all other races will come and they will want me to sign a declaration. He's like, will you call, but you need to call off the strike. Somebody might get killed. He said, no, absolutely. The strike continues. They went back and forth until, they realized it's a deadlock. Nobody is going to call off the strike. President is saying he can't sign the declaration. So 6 days before they were supposed to have this big march near the White House, President signed the declaration and made it illegal for these factories not to hire black people. And that was a very big win for Randolph, for people. But you can see that he was incorruptible. He was able to stand his ground. He was able to fight for his people. This is why we love people like this. This is why they are magnetic. We love bravery. We love to see courage. There is no way that man would not be attractive to any female. He's alpha. He told you he can fight for workers, tens of thousands of workers. You can rest assured that he can protect you. The way it is. And women like safety, and they can sense that. It's in our nervous system. We can sense a man who has the capability of protecting us. He becomes very magnetic, very attractive. And other people sense too. Even men know an alpha male when he enters the room. I don't know how they smell him. Maybe they smell the pheromones or the testosterone. I don't know how they do it. But anyway, you don't get there. You don't get there by chance. You don't get this level of attraction, of admiration by chance. It comes from character. So character is something that you don't have to be born into. It is something that people develop and step into. This is very important for people to know. Just because you didn't have a proper upbringing doesn't mean that you can't cultivate a new personality, a new person. This person that we cultivate in life is the same as being born again. The person that we decide to become is more important than the person that we are born as. The character that we decide to come into maturity in. Some people never mature up. Some people always stay, like this character that has no goals, nothing. This is what I would want to challenge you. Think about the things that you would want to become. Write them down, your 2.0 version, the kind of person that you want to become, and then start working hard to become that person, because this 2.0 version of you, that's the one that's going to take you to the promised land, not the old version of you. Character is something we cultivate. Now, a bonus point that I'm going to share with you, the one single thing that every attractive person knows to do, the one single thing, they learned to say no. Say no, say it politely, say it all the time. Always start with no. I'm sorry, I cannot go out on a date with you. I'm sorry, it's too busy. No. No, honey, no, darling. Okay, bye. No, I said no. You have to teach yourself to say no. If you want to be attractive, you have to learn to say no. Philip Randolph, he always said no to women, to the president. He knew to say no. That makes you attractive, because a lot of people have problems with boundaries. A lot of people have problems with saying no. But when you learn to say no, you become powerful. And when you become powerful, you become attractive. So the first thing that I would say, learn to say no. Learn to say no. If you like this video, please subscribe, subscribe this video and share. Again, my name is Kanini and this is Heal Your Energy. And I saw this thing like hashtag post-traumatic growth, post-traumatic bliss, post-traumatic joy. when you go through a life of trauma, there is healing. You can develop the 2.0 version of you, this character that is immune to the hurt and the pain of your past, and you step into that person. I hope that as we continue this growth journey, self-discovery, self-growth, rediscovering ourselves and who we can be, that that it leads us to a beautiful place in our lives, because we have a long time. If you're in your 30s, you got a long time on this planet. So we might as well stay here and love each other and grow together. Again, my name is Kanini, and I love you, and may God bless you.